and I love history too. I love that stuff. Yeah. And I went to Boston, and I was surprised to learn about like how many revolutionaries there were, and there was still a lot of imperialists, people that were like pro King George, and then there was like these guys that were like, how about we're done with this? How about let's quit doing let's play in this. We can do this on our own. We don't need it. And it was interesting to hear that this isn't the first time where there's been a division, and there's a lot of people that are like, no, it's okay. Like we're good sticking with the system the way that it's been. But it doesn't take a huge movement to stir it up. It just feels to me like what we were talking about before we kind of got going is that movement is stepping into place. I went to Bunker Hill, and on Bunker Hill there's a monument that's dedicated to a guy named Asa Pollock. And this is where I want to go with this. Is the person that you're talking about? This Asa Pollock was a 14-year-old boy, and the British, imagine they're parked out in the Boston Harbor, and where they're on Bunker Hill are the Americans, the revolutionaries, these rebels, these guys that were probably raising their hand in the back of the class the whole time, like I imagine you as a young man. They're just firing. The British are just firing cannonballs, just randomly harassing. They're not even really aiming. Asa Pollock, his brother and his dad go to build up the fortifications on Bunker Hill, as a lot of the people were doing. They were pitching in, getting ready for this invasion. And Asa Pollock is carrying some dirt over, and a cannonball takes his head off. 14-year-old boy in front of his dad and his brother. They're just doing their civic duty. And then it goes on to talk about what his dad and the brother went on to do to lead the revolution. Now, here I sit thinking of myself as a revolutionary, thinking, man, we need some change. But what price are we willing to pay? How far are we willing to go to make sure that this country, which I love, I am an American. I love this country, regardless of donkeys or elephants. I don't care. I love this country, and it needs to continue going in the way that it's going, not just for me, but for my children and for their children, because this is a wonderful place. No matter what you say, no matter how down you get on the United States, people are still escaping where they're going, where they live, to come here to get a piece of the American dream. And I just think to myself, would I have the mental and emotional fortitude to carry on sacrificing if I were to see my boy lose his head right in front of me? Because that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about revolution, we're talking about honest to goodness, roll your sleeves up and make a difference in this country. How far are we willing to go? Because we're getting to a point now where it's the words have been said. We have lost faith in the electoral process. We have lost faith in the media, like you were just talking about. We've lost faith in our leaders. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe on the news. I don't know what to believe. I like you say on the phone, like I could see that guy was on the roof. There's a lot of people showing that. That's believable to me. That happened at the assassination attempt. I don't know what else to believe, though. I don't know where we're going, because you have a motive. KSL, they're getting paid by somebody to provide the news. Where does it end? Where does it begin? I don't know. I just know that I'm of the mind. I've never missed a vote. I've always voted. I've never missed a vote, because I have a responsibility as a citizen. If I'm going to have an opinion, I need to vote. If I don't vote, I need to shut the fuck up.
I love it.
That's how I feel. If you're not voting, then you don't get to say. I don't even want to vote this time. I don't even know if it's worth it. I don't know what to believe in this country anymore. What are your thoughts on that? Like, where are we going? Like, what level of dedication is it going to take in order for us to make it past this hump? Because I think we're in a time of a left or right. There's a decision that needs to be made. We've got to make a turn here, because we can't continue this.
Yeah,
that was a long question.
No, I appreciate what the things you said, because there's a lot of things you said that are very true. And the one things that stuck out to me that you talk about, that battle with the father and the son. The fact of the matter is, one of the problems is we have been in war, and it's been a different type of war. It's not kinetic, but we have been in war for a long time. There's been a war waged on this being waged on this country, waged on what it means, on the very essence of what we love about this, the thing that makes this country most sacred, the thing that unites us all, left, right. The thing that we're willing to die for is the principle of the divinity of the individual, right? That the individual has untapped power. And I don't care where you're born, in the hood, anywhere, what we're fighting for, what America stands for, is that any individual can become anything, that he's a king, that she's a queen, and that the government's role is to stay out of their way. And that philosophy has led, just think about this, okay? in 6,000 years, 5,000 years, 6,000 years, whatever it's been, we had progressed as a human race to the horse and plow when this country was founded. When this country was founded, we had the horse and plow, and we come out with a philosophy that says, you know what? The human is the human has inalienable rights, God-given rights, and that the human has divine worth, and the role of the government is to stay out of the way, that they are kings and queens. In 200 years, we went from the horse and plow to literally all of us living like a king and better than any emperor could have imagined. That is unimaginable. That is what we're fighting for. What we're fighting for is that little kid that grew up, I don't care what, get out of their way. Let them have the potential, let them develop and grow into whatever they're capable of becoming. No tyrant wants that. That's a lot of competition for a tyrant, to have a nation full of kings. They want a nation full of serfs, a nation full of weak people. And so for years, they have been waging war on that principle.
My friend, you're using the word they quite a bit.
That's very good. Yeah, let's talk about they.
Let's talk about the they, because I hear that a lot. I'm not smart enough to know who they are. I grew up in the 80s. I just want you to know this about me. I grew up in the 80s, and I used to watch Hulk Hogan fight Roddy Piper. They'd kick each other's butts, and then they'd talk shit on each other. And then on Mondays, all my friends would get on the bus who were going to school, and they'd be like, can you believe what Roddy Piper said? And I would think, they all work for the McMahons. It's all a show. That's what I think we've turned into, is like we get people that are mad because I can't believe Trump said this and Joe Biden said that. That's Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan all over again. It's a show.
It is.
And so if that's true, then what? Like, who's going to lead us out of this? What's going to happen that's going to make a difference?
Who's the they?
I think that's an important thing to talk about because we do talk about they, and it sounds very vague. But who is they? They is who they have always been. Pharaoh. It's the elite. There has always been people, the rulers versus the ruled, those who think they know better, those who are behind the scenes trying to manipulate things, whether it's the Bilderbergs or the Rothschilds. I mean, there are, and very specifically, let's be specific at who we're talking about. What we are experiencing in America is a Marxist revolution. Okay, this is a Marxist takeover. It has been going on for decades. There's always duality in everything, right? When the Constitution is a document that again, we talked about what it means, that there is a God, that our rights come from him, that the individual, I don't care what party, I don't care what the individual should be left alone and left with, stay out of their business, let that king rule his dominion. There's always a counter. What was the counter to that? The counter to that was communism. There is no private property. All property belongs to the state. Okay? The Constitution led to, in 200 years, average person living like a king and a queen. The average lifted so many people out of poverty. Light, knowledge spread throughout the world. What happened what was the counter government to that, Marxism, in 100 years, less than 100 years. Well, since over 100 million middle-class citizens, Christians, Jews, were butchered by their government. That is what we're fighting against. It's an idea. It's this. This isn't about. This is two ideas right now battling out. The idea of one that this country is founded upon, versus the idea of Marxism, which is that the individuals are worthless, that they are property, okay, that they are cattle to be used for labor, did not be given them property to keep them under control. Look at the fruits of that. 100 million people killed. 100 million citizens. They rolled it out in Russia. They rolled it out in China. They rolled it out in Cambodia. What is the method? The enemy is the people who do not need a master. In Russia, they call them kulaks. Who were kulaks? They were middle-class, independent business owners. They were the farmers. They were the blacksmiths. They were the people that didn't need a master. What did the government do? They went to the underbelly, the people who in poverty, and said, the reason you're in poverty is because these greedy kulaks, and you need to help root them out. And what they created is a bottom-up, top-down revolution, and they squash and murder and send to the gulags anybody all the kulaks, the middle class, and anybody who dares question the leadership. Okay?
It's
Godless.
That is an interesting, I like that. I like how you put that because, you know what the line was for them is that you as the impoverished deserve better. What if we all had more? What if we, leadership, provided you health insurance? What if we provided health care? What if we provided retirement? Everybody should have everything. No one should go without anything. And that destroys that's the beginning of these. Oh man, that is happening.
So when they tried to come to America, here's the problem. And they couldn't do it here because they tried to do it in the 20s and 30s. Why? Because who's going to rise up? Everybody was prosperous. Nobody wanted. So how do you roll it out here? They tried to use race, and they used race because blacks have historically been there. That was a real issue. They used women. They create feminist movement. Stir up again. It is. You have to create victims. And what do we see now? Victimhood. You're a victim because of the establishment. You're a victim because of the patriarchy. You're a victim because of colonialism. The only way that you have to have a nation full of victims who are oppressed, and you have to have oppressors, and the oppressor has to be the working class, the people who keep the country going, the people who who will push back against totalitarianism, big government. That is one of the reasons people don't connect the dots. You even have to import it. If you can open the borders and bring all of these people in, and then you tell them, hey, you're kept down because of these the patriarchy. You push people, and again, this is being taught in our schools. This is the racism. America's built on racism. You guys are racist. You're racist. That is what people don't realize is they are being used to bring to pass a Marxist revolution. You have the government pushing it. You have pushing the military. You have it being pushed throughout the entire country. So when you say it is those people. And here's the beautiful thing. It's like radical Islam. When you can indoctrinate people in Marxism or radical Islam, like they did in the 60s, guess what? Those people radicalized in that in the 60s went on to become professors. They do it on their own. So once you radicalize, that's why it is always about win the minds of people. What did Hitler want? Give me control of the schools. What did Stalin want? Give me control of the schools. You give me the children, I will own the future. What did they do in America in the 60s? Get control of push these radical ideas, push radical ideas. Where did all those hippies go? Into the education system, into Hollywood. And now you have them working, again, same as radical Islam. Radical Islam, how do you chop off the head of an ideology? You can't. So who is they? In radical Islam, it's an idea that's been adopted by the masses. And once you get that idea out there, then you get people at the top understanding it and manipulating that's what's going on. And that's what people don't put together that's why they're pushing the LGBT. That's, again, they don't give a rat's ass if you're gay, if you're straight, but what they do say is, can we find a way to divide the people and create victims and create people upset? And that's why you see it's always tied to the LGBT, and Black Lives Matter is us
against them.
Colonialism. Upset the patriarchy because this is a Marxist revolution. That's what we are in right now.
Man.
Rob, why would somebody want to watch this podcast?
Why wouldn't you? We have a good time. You're going to learn something. And by the way, it's awesome. You should click it. You should watch it. Thanks for tuning in.
Subscribe right now.